I know we talk about it all the time, but we can never talk enough about it because even when you are 100% committed to the truth, it feels to me like the whole culture of the world, the fallen world that is designed to fool you and to break the power of truth in your life. You could 1 minute do the most honest and truthful thing, and Satan will sneak up on you with a lie. Maybe it comes through social media, maybe it comes through a person, maybe it comes through some old wound that whatever it is, and you won't even know it happened, and then you're walking in a lie. And all of a sudden you start doing things, you start feeling things, and it may take a minute before you realize I'm not in the truth. Lies are dictating how I'm thinking right now, how I'm reacting to people right now, what I'm about to do, my motives. And this just it goes way beyond writing books. But it you can't really separate writing truth in books from living truth. And so book writing is discipleship, and you're being discipled as much as you're discipling others through the sharing of the truth. If you've ever preached, so I know a few of you have preached before, it is, it is, it is a cage fight behind the pulpit to stay in the spirit and speak the truth and not to perform, not to fall and not to get distracted by the lies, not to do what everybody else does and worry what people think and think about how I'm being perceived. And the skill for the Christian, let alone the Christian writer, is to love and insist on the truth. And when you sit down to write, besides love for the reader, there's nothing else that will break writer's block and imposter syndrome and all the things that get in the way, even even procrastination and just whatever all that is, like a desire to be in the truth no matter what it is. If you think about almost anything that has ever happened that's powerful in your life that God has done, it probably was scary. It probably required courage, and it required you to understand that the outcome of the truth is the right outcome, which is a surrender. It is not controlling the outcome of anything that you do. It's only answering that one question. Is this true? And we talk so much about what's the core message? Who's the reader? And it's not wrong to market test and to think about what the market wants because it's good to have intelligence about that. But at the end of the day, there's almost no point in writing if this is just not some deep truth that comes from just your depth and of what God has done and what you're able to discern about that. I know that we say this all the time, but I want to say it in a very serious way. because it's more important than you think. You can't get away with less than 100% truth. Everything that you do in life is going to be affected if you can't stay in the truth. And I know this is very cryptic, because it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, what does it mean? What does it feel like? That's a little easier for me to figure out rather than say like, what is it? It's more easy for me to figure out what it feels like. And to me, it feels like peace. So if we're talking with each other, if we're meeting together, Richard and me, we met together at the Pancake House a couple weeks ago. That was amazing. Um, and in a meeting like that, you just want to sit there and go, what's the true thing that how can I be honest right here? How can we talk about real stuff? How can we share our real hearts? How can we not play games in this conversation? How can we not play games at work? How can we not play games in marriage? How can we not play games when we write? Um, and that's what's so hard about learning to write a book is that you're learning techniques about writing that can sort of get you a little bit out of the truth because you're trying to impose something and you have to. I'm not saying we're not going to, but sometimes I want people to just stop thinking about anything that I'm teaching about structure and core messages and just like get get that paper and say the thing that you're very most afraid to say. Write it down. No one's necessarily going to see it. But what's scary about it is like, they might, because you might write something down and you might hear God sneak up on you and say, yeah, that's what you got to share. Um, so I would start there. And then as soon as you write the thing that's probably true, you're going to be scared to death of it. And you're probably not going to want to share it. And you're probably going to want to like get some advice about whether you should tell people, like, so, but I'm not the kind of Christian or the kind of pastor who thinks that I can come up with a plan to change the world. Like I can't even come up with a plan to plant a church. I can't even tell you what hill we're trying to take. I can't tell you what kind of church we're trying to build. And I certainly can't tell you what kind of what my book is going to do. Um, but what I know is this is how God uses us. And he has things he wants to do. So I don't really like the vision thing. You should have a vision and then you should go after your vision. And, where did you even get the vision? What I like is being with God and telling the truth and doing the truth and building things out of the truth, um, because he is going to do something with that because that's all him. He's the one that moves us when we're like willing to do whatever he's doing. And it's always going to seem like throwing caution to the wind. It's going to seem like um it might seem stupid, but it's going to feel like the most honest thing that you could do. And once you realize what it is, everything else you could possibly write about is just going to seem like a silly waste of time. And what's really hard about this, those of you that have been working on a book for a long time, is that you've changed so much since you started writing that book that you struggle to even care about the thing you started writing about because you're not even that person. Because as you followed God and as you allowed Him to move you along, you've tapped you get the closer you get to God, the closer you get to the message, you know. And so at that point, I'd say you better hurry up and write it because he's going to keep moving. He doesn't stop moving. He finds somebody, he finds somebody as a medium. And when man, I was watching a poet talking about like, and he was talking about the muse. He's not a Christian, but it's a sort of a similar thing where he's like, it doesn't matter where he is, all of a sudden he'll feel it in his temple and he'll feel it in his throat or jaw or something. And if he doesn't write something down right then and there, he'll never get it back. I think I read to you guys one time this super delightful, was it an essay? I don't remember, but about somebody being in the field and seeing the thing coming. This inspiration was coming from way over there, and it was coming and it was coming. And this would happen to her a lot growing up on the farm, where she would run to the house and run to the house and like run and run and run and run to try to get there to a pen and paper before it came by, swept her up, and then went on and left her without having written it down. Um, it was said better than that. But I was like, yeah, man, that is what it feels like sometimes. But the more you don't just try to go to the truth when you write, the more you try to just live in the truth, the more that stuff will actually could become a part of you, and you won't, yeah, I mean, we all lose things, we lose inspiration sometimes. But man, if you're starting to write something that you've been embodying, just gets so easy to write. Not easy to put a book together necessarily, but that's what editors are for. But if you're embodying the big idea, if you're embodying the truth, it's really not that hard to write. But when you're sitting around all the time wondering what to write about, it's usually because you're living in a bunch of lies. And I don't mean that in a way of like, you're so stupid and why, how could you do that? I'm like, this is how the world goes around. It goes around in lies because we're all comparison, all the status games, all the past coming after us, all that stuff is just the evil one. And so it just takes a lot of the presence of God and a lot of being willing to like for me at least, I would start find myself sort walking slower, talking slower. It's like I'm gonna step right into the lie if I don't think about what I'm doing. And because something hits you, it hits you at that place of lies, and the truth can almost never, the truth can't mess you up. I mean, it can mess you up. It can only mess you up if you really want to believe the lies. But if you like care, if you really don't want to believe the lies, the truth will never make you feel anything but powerful. At least the way I'm talking about it. Now, you might be powerful like Jesus on the cross, powerful like you're dying, but um solid, like into solid and just one integrated whole. Like discipleship is wholeness, well, because we're like lining up with the truth, and the way we live it, we're living out of the truth, we're speaking out of the truth, we're writing out of the truth. And so and that is the great benefit of writing books, because or anything, because it helps me. I just live so much. It's just another, it helps you to live because it's constantly drawing you. It's one of the ways we can slow down. I mean, like people talk about you should journal, like, well, we get to journal constantly when we're writing true things. So